All right, so we are here tonight to talk about onboarding. I've had a lot of people reaching out to me saying, hey, can you give me your SOPs? What do I do? Things like that. And we're going to make it really simple, okay? Do you guys have a client? Yes. Yet? Send a comment. Let us know how many clients you currently have, what your onboarding process looks like. We really look forward to feedback. We love feedback. Ask questions. We're going to answer. If you guys are rewatching this and you have questions that we haven't covered in this thing, please comment down below the video because we will respond to you.
Yes, we will, for sure.
All right. So what do you do when you get a yes? When you get a client and they say yes on that sales call, what do? You don't sit there, you don't freak out and go, what do I do now?
You do internally, but then after that, you got to get down to business.
Exactly. You very, very professional on the call, and then you get off the call, and then you go,
And you do happy dance. Oh crap! Now what do I do? Okay, so, but yes, it's something we all run into. But now this is the opportunity of we're going to absolutely load you up with procedures and things that, and not in a bad way, but things that you can do that'll arm you. So you can have confidence after you get off that call and you do your celebration that it's not a panic right afterwards.
Absolutely. We are also going to share free training. All of you that already have access to our free training, it will be uploaded. Inside of that is SOPs, and it is literal like checklists of this is what you need to do. So they are all inside that free training. If you don't have that yet, I'll post a link in a few minutes. All right. It's in there. So here we're just going to talk about it.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about us. For those of you that have watched my YouTube channel, watched my free training, joined my group, seen my ad everywhere, my name is Sheena-Leigh. My husband and I started Atlas Online Solutions, our agency, about 5 years ago. And in the last year and a half, 2 years, we started mentoring agency owners. They would come to us with questions, and I'm blessed with an encyclopedic mind that can put things together and basically said, hey, here's your answer. Earlier on this year, where I was getting too many requests for help to be able to take them on without neglecting my own agency. So we put this Atlas Online Solution, Atlas Agency Launch Lab program together. It's a 90-day program where we take students through and we have 3 options. We have done for you, done with you, and do it yourself options. We do everything. We build out your website. We run paid ads on behalf of your agency. We hire VA. We build out your team members. We teach you everything that you need to know. So at the end of that 90 days, not only have we closed clients for you and done the fulfillment for you, we have filled you up with a pipeline and all the tools you need to go to just absolutely skyrocket. Okay. The world is your oyster. So that's who I am. And during this journey, I went to John and I'm like, hey, John, you know how you love go high level? Can we collaborate a little bit? And he's going to tell you a little bit more about himself.
We found each other through different groups here. And just as I said this before the last time I was on, but you will find if you choose to go down this road, maybe you're a freelancer looking to up your game. Maybe you have lots of, you're like her people before, Sheena-Leigh's, that you are an agency owner, you've already got it going, but you have lots of questions or you want to branch out. This is like the most comprehensive program I've ever seen. There are some really good ones, but this one is just, I mean, start to finish, very, very, very comprehensive in terms of what it offers you, what it can offer you. So as far as I go, we connected in some of the same circles as we marketers will tend to do. That's one of the things I love about this industry. My background is, without going into as much detail as last time, is very business centric. I've had the good fortune of having opportunities to be what I call a managing partner for several types of businesses. Though my background was technology, I came up through IT support. That's why I was hard yet very appreciative of the support that I received. It's kind of like my wife with customer service. If she goes into a place, she's done a lot of customer service. And if she goes into a place that has bad customer service, she gives them the what for. I'm the same way about support, but that gave me the opportunity to explore all different aspects of business. And so when I really came across and saw the value of marketing, I was able to not only do the marketing, but do the business process side of it as well. And so I'm really seeing the value of both and how you connect it together to really make a difference for these clients and these people that we've come across. So this agency launch lab, Atlas Agency Launch Lab, being a part of this is just makes it all the more complete. It's a nice package, and it really plays to, you know, what we're seeing out there in the world in terms of questions customers and clients and, you know, fellow marketers have about what's going on. And so this, as she said, onboarding is a big part of this. And so that's why I really wanted to dive into it. But that's my background. That's the very basics of how I got here, but really enjoying this marketing ride and about sharing some of these things that I've learned over a lifetime with people.
Thank you. Yes. So that's us. Let's say hi to you guys. A lot of you have come on to say hello to us. So Hi, Carrie. Thank you for saying good evening.
Yes.
Forgive me, everybody, if I get your names wrong, okay? We have someone else saying good morning. Good morning. Samara says very nice and gives us a thumbs up. Kashif says good evening. Yes, sir. Please upload this video on YouTube also. Yes, I will be adding them all to our YouTube video. We'll be adding them all into your free training, and then they will all be added into the Atlas Agency Launch Lab group as well. So it will be where you guys can find it later. Zamara says morning. Zamara is the one that started this group. So thank you for having me on. Good morning.
And thank you for the opportunity for allowing us to come on here and share some of this with people. So
absolutely.
Thank you for what you do.
Kashif says, hi, Sheena-Leigh, how are you? And John, how are you? We are good. Been busy days inside of our agencies, but we are good. Yeah.
Okay.
Hassan said, I'm interested. Ren said, good morning. Other people are asking for the free training. Well, I've just posted the free training and the Atlas Agency Launch Lab group inside of your comments. You'll be able to find it right there. And Oladijo, I'm really sorry if I ruined your name just then. Please try to share the YouTube link after uploaded. Yes, I can add our YouTube link right there. All right, so let's get started. We are using slides today to keep us on track so we don't ramble. We have so much information that we could.
I don't know what you're talking about. Ramble? What?
Well, we have so much information. We could literally be here for hours. So we're going to try and keep it short and concise so you guys can get what you need and get on with your lives.
That said, let's break out the fire hose.
There we go.
This is what we're going to talk about today here. So,
yep. So what we're going to cover is the types of relationships to onboard, the best time frame to onboard, and what you need to onboard. If you have questions during this process, ask them. We will do our best to answer them. If we don't get through all of it because we're too busy asking questions, then we'll just do another one and finish it off. Okay?
For sure.
All right. Types of relationships to onboard. How many of you guys use contracts? I'm asking a question. I always expect an answer and I never get them. So I will keep talking.
Just real quick, something that I, and we touched on this before, I think, is, how do you know when to use a contract? Because I'm coming from other business. I'm used to having contracts. I'm used to all that. And there are plenty of marketing agencies and marketers who do use contracts. But yet, when is there's an increasing number of people, you see the other types there, the month to month and the annual, you see those out there, and I've never seen so many people decide not to use them, but use it as a sales tool. You're not tied into a contract. I have to there's an expression for those of you who don't know called singing for your supper. That you have to do the things to earn your keep on a regular basis. So I'm curious to know how many people kind of out there use contracts versus have gotten away from contracts. But that's something that can come up in the comments while she's explaining some of this stuff. So
inside of my agency, when we first started, I was not using contracts at all. Then I started bringing on bigger fish clients. And the fact that we didn't have a contract was a stumbling block. So I was like, okay, I should probably start getting one in place. My contract is very, very simple. It's inside the free training. You guys can download it, copy and paste it. Just take out the Atlas Online Solutions part, put in your agency. And it's more of a proposal. So it basically says, we propose to run geofencing ads, Facebook ads, and have an appointment setter, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the media we use, this is how it's going to be deployed, and this is what you can expect from it and why we're doing it. And this is how much it's going to cost every single month. And then down the bottom, it says included in this is, client relations, free copy, A/B testing, all of those fun things. Mm-hmm. And it says right at the very bottom, signature on this contract, signature on this proposal turns it into a binding contract, basically.
Okay.
Right? There's a bit more to it, but that's how I ended up doing it.
That's good. I mean, because I submit, it's not that I don't do paperwork, but I've submitted, proposals to clients. And yes, there are places to sign and there are places to turn that into something. But to me, that was sufficient. But maybe there is like you say, when you start to deal with bigger clients, they need that contract. There is a mentality in corporate America, I'm sorry, but it's to check the box. Sometimes where it's not always warranted. But I think it's just good for the stability of business, perhaps. So there really is something to that as you start to deal with a little bit bigger, more complex, product offerings that you're doing for somebody or the contract, then you can certainly, the contract would be warranted.
Yeah. The other things I've come across in the last 5 years, it's made me think that I need them. And I've added clauses in on the proposals that it's needed for. Mm-hmm. I have somebody paying me to do a free trial and then 4 or 5 months later, I'm still waiting for her to get the information to me so I can have access to her business manager account to run her ads that she's already paid for. And I'm sitting there stuck like, what do I do? So I added a clause, my responsibilities are this. Client's responsibilities is to get me the things I asked for within 14 business days. So I do put that in. The other part that I have added into my contracts from time to time is if I'm using a third party. So if I am, I don't do SEO. SEO is not my thing. However, I have colleagues who absolutely excel and rock in SEO. So they will come along and they will do the SEO parts for my clients. So I will have a little clause in there saying that they will not hold me responsible for anything that happens with a third-party provider. Okay. Mm-hmm. And one other thing that I will sometimes put in there is if I'm providing them with user access, not just read-only access inside of Go High Level, I will put in there the parts that they're allowed to touch and the parts that they aren't allowed to touch, just because it makes it very clear so that I'm not checking on a campaign after 2 or 3 days and then realizing, oh no, what's going on, right?
When they've completely gone in and butchered it.
Absolutely.
Even trying to help or trying to experiment or something. Yep. Yeah, there's versus one of my clients kind of takes the opposite role of they allow them access to Go High Level, but it's very much just the communications and CRM side of it. They do not let them touch or I don't think even see, though I haven't verified this, the funnels and websites, the automation, some of those things. They run that themselves and do not let them touch it. Yeah. So, I mean, there are certainly different levels of running that and reasons to do it. So, yeah.
So Yasir says, we don't use written contracts most of the time. And Carrie says, the only time I haven't used contracts, I've been burned. Now, even, especially actually, friends and family get contracts. Yes, friends and family. Oh my goodness. I have considered making a policy that I never take on friends and family as clients because it doesn't go well. Using that contract, however, is a very, very good idea in those situations.
Yeah. And of course, the nice thing is, that I've actually gotten pretty good at writing contracts and rental agreements and different things over time, but they don't have to be legalese. I mean, it's better, honestly, if they're not, if they're just very straight up that says, this is what I'll provide. This is what you provide. This is the time frame it happens in. And this is what you can expect.
Yep, absolutely. So once again, I've put a copy of the proposal / contract that I use inside of my own agency inside that free training. So go ahead, copy, paste it. It's not, it's not copyrighted. You're more than welcome to use it. We have a point here called longevity discounts, and this is what you can put inside with
longevity discount. Maybe I misspelled that, but
I said it wrong.
So. Okay, well. This is the if somebody signs up for an annual plan, giving them a month free or 2 months free or some sort of bonus for signing up for that annual plan. It's done in software all the time. But what is your experience with that? Is that something you use?
I think it's very wise for things to take a long time. So, for things like SEO, if you're going to use a contract or you're going to use a proposal that's outlined clearly things, you're going to want to say, I need, we're in this for at least 6 months. Okay. Right. And sometimes when you're talking to that client or that prospect, they're going to have a little stress out. They're like, I can't pay $2,000 every single month for 6 months. And it feels too big for them. So if you tell them, if you word it so it's a good thing for them to sign on for 6 months, because we all know it's only going to work if they sign on for 6 months. You sign on, then, we'll pay me for 5 months and I'll give you the 6th month completely free. They're like, oh yeah, okay, where do I sign? It takes that sting out of it. Right.
For sure. Yeah. So to know they're getting, and I think there is something inherent in everybody that just likes to bargain, even a little bit. They're not, even if they're not big professional bargainers. I'm not a professional bargainer. I don't enjoy it. But there are some people that do, and they just have to get a little something or feel like they're getting a little something. So they made a deal and then they're completely on board. So it's like what you're saying with the adding the extra month for free. Then all of a sudden they're getting a deal.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
And that means something to them and that registers with them.
Yep. So. All right. So we talked about the fact that we throw up our hands and we have a little bit of a stress out once we've closed that client, because what happens next? All right. Now the ball's in our court. Don't overthink it. All right. Don't think, it's very, very, very simple. It comes down to 3 points that you should never, ever overlook. 1, take payment. They said yes. This is not a charity. Take payment. First thing you need to do, okay? Next, send a welcome email. Some people have great welcome emails built out. I have included one that I actually use inside, well, not currently, but I have used inside of my agency in the past. It's branded. It's got little tiny blurbs about, meet your team. This is something funny or interesting about each team member. Spread throughout it. Send a welcome email. If you don't have that built out, please don't take a whole day out of your day building out this beautiful welcome email, because your only job is to get clients and make money. Right? Make it very simple. Hey, it was great meeting you. This is the plan. I will be meeting you on this day to onboard you. I look forward to working together. It can be that simple.
It's just a nice finishing touch. It's the little, they say sometimes it's the little things, the little touches. And that is certainly one of them that not only acknowledges what you're doing, but, helps them learn about you and what you do.
Absolutely. You think back 10 years ago, you sign on with a brand, or in fact, some dentists still do it. You sign on with a brand new dentist or something that worked with you a long time. They're going to send you a handwritten card in the mail saying, welcome aboard. This is a digital marketer's handwritten card. Okay.
For sure.
Yep. And then set up an onboarding appointment. You never want to do a sale and then just rush into, okay, this is what we need. Okay. You need to be able to give your client, your prospect, time to get the stuff together to do it. At the very, very least, you need a high definition logo. All right. You need a whole bunch of things before you can start. Most business owners are coming to you because they don't know the first thing about this stuff, and they definitely don't have it on hand. So set up that onboarding appointment. If you're using team members to do your tech fulfillment, have your team member at that appointment. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice and simple though.
That way they know everybody is who's involved, and it doesn't just let them, they're for booking the onboarding appointment. They want to know something, they've made that investment, and yes, you don't want to overwhelm them at the start, but the time in between, make it as short as possible on the onboarding appointment. Maybe just a few days, right? Or it depends on how long it takes them to get the stuff together. But then they need to know progress is going on. I have a client who's very kind of type A, who once, they're fine if it's just a little bit of progress, but they just want to know what's going on, whenever they're, and just keep them just a little update. Doesn't have to be anything big, but then, then you're going to that next client, you're going to that first onboarding meeting, and then they can really see, okay, there are things happening here. Okay. Here's the information you asked me to get, I've got it. Here you go. And now, you're waiting there with everything in place. It just helps that relationship be cemented and be put in place, and to be firm, that they understand and appreciate. They don't know the nuts and bolts. They don't want to know the nuts and bolts, as you said. They don't want to know all the details, but they appreciate that progress is happening and that they can see it, that they're well on their way to, to the success that you promised them.
Absolutely. Yes, 100%. All right. We have Jay, who says, thank you for sharing this. You are more than welcome. I love coming on here and telling you guys things that we find helpful. John and I spent a very long time having bounced from one course to another course and not getting the hands-on, someone's at a coalface information. So I'm glad that it's helping.
Yeah, a lot of them are about how to get clients. There's lots and lots of that information. But as far as the onboarding side of this, not as many people are covering this. So this just speaks to the depth of information that's in your that's in the Atlas Agency Launch Lab. So we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yep. All right, we have a couple more. UNAB, you guys are incredible. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can you share this PowerPoint? Yes, it is recorded and will be in your free training library. Kindly share the link again. Yes, we can. I just posted that again. Enjoy. Sheena and Nelson, good work. Well, thank you. Look at all the encouragement today. I'm glad we turned up.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Your onboarding process can be extremely simple, all right? And I've given you a few points here so that you can build out what's unique to your agency. What works for my agency is very different than what works for John's. And what works for your agency will also be very different. I'm going to give you a bunch of different suggestions and a bunch of different ideas. From them, take what you want, ignore what you don't, okay? Number 1, receive payment link through Stripe link here, okay? This can be part of your onboarding email. Number 2, somebody, put whoever's name it is, will send an e-sign agreement through Dropbox sign. All right, that could be the next part. Number 3, once signed, an introduction email will be sent by somebody's name and sent with the next steps for onboarding. All right, see how it progresses? This can be your email that you send the minute after you close a deal, okay?
Yeah, just putting it together right here.
Yep. Number 4, this person will send an onboarding email with a booking link to schedule their onboarding call, links to get Facebook, Instagram access, customer lists, calendar link, etc. Okay? Number 5, we will begin to build landing pages, ads, ad copy, etc., and notify client we will be sending for approval within 72 hours.
See, this sort of speaks to what I was talking about, is not only are you asking them for information, but now in this checklist, if you're putting this in your welcome letter, into your presentation, into these different aspects, you are now telling them this is the time frame of things that are going to happen.
Yep.
This is what you can expect. So there is something very comforting to clients knowing that, to new clients who are just starting the relationship with you, that all of a sudden you're willing, one, you have timelines and you're willing to put them on, and 2, that you're putting them out there so they know what to expect.
Yep.
So go ahead.
There are so many clients that are going to come to your agency who have been burned and churned before, right?
Sure.
And the way that usually goes, all right, not every time, but the way it usually goes is they have been contacted by an agency, they might be new, whatever, who closes the client, but they don't have this onboarding process in place. And so a week goes by and the client doesn't hear anything and they start to get nervous and they reach out, and then the agency starts freaking out. So they throw something together in a big hurry and things fall apart. If you have this process, the minute you send it, you are building that relationship with this person who's going to scale your agency. And by setting expectations, showing transparency of your process, and telling them what they can expect from you, you're going to be able to build that relationship, because without it, it's not going to work. Yeah,
absolutely. And it just, and it helps you too. It's not only to help your client and to help their comfort level, but it's also to help you. It's to help, so then, we'll talk about something in a minute as far as timing goes and laying out your services, but you'll know your services that you offer.
Yep.
It'll generally be the same, or at least you have a tool belt of services that then you can, if I pick this one, that's a, funnel site build, and landing page, then I know how long that's going to take. I have this one that's reputation management. I know how long that's going to take. I have this, it's SEO. I know how long that's going to take. And so then that becomes a part of your process here. And so all you're doing is plugging those into your letter, because you'll have already done that groundwork, laying it out. And so then with confidence, when you put this stuff in, how long these things are going to take. And so it helps you just as much as it helps your client.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other part of this is, once you start scaling your agency, once you get to about 10 clients, things can get really hairy. All right. And you don't want to get a week or two down the road, get halfway through a campaign build or everything else. You've got 3 hours to get this live because that's what you promised. And you haven't collected all the information. You haven't done all of these steps. So if you are writing this out, sending it to the client, using it the same process every single time, you are much less likely to screw up on a campaign and lose that client.
Yeah. And notice those are check boxes kind of there. And so the checklist is the true checklist is your friend. Have as many of those as you need.
Yep, absolutely. All right. We are taking a lot of time here, guys. I'm sorry, but we're going to move ahead a little quicker. Number 6, once we receive access and final approval, we will set a launch meeting and send a confirmation email from this person and what to expect from us. Notice they said final approval. If you are a reputable agency running things with integrity, you're always going to get your clients' feedback on the work you've done. You want to be representing that business with integrity and transparency. So you should always send it to your client, or have a launch meeting where you can show it to them in real life and get their feedback before you go on. Because I could have a conversation with John about his agency and say, yeah, great, man, I got it. I'm going to run paid ads on behalf of your agency, and I'm going to close them, and I'm going to do everything else. And then I got to run that campaign for 3 or 4 weeks. And he's like, Sheena, what is going on? I'm not getting calls.
What's happening here? What are you doing? Yeah,
exactly.
Give me an update. I don't need a lot. I just need an update. What's happening? So like my client that I had there, he wants an update, and it's every day or two.
Exactly.
Doesn't have to be much, but got to be something.
So you need to be doing this. All right. What the client can expect. So I said that you're going to be telling the client what they can expect from you. So what they can expect is, number 1, once it's launched, this person inside the agency, they need to know who the contact person is, will send weekly updates for the first 8 weeks of the campaign progress. All right. This is just what I do inside my agency. You might be different. Number 2, all new leads will be sent to the client to notify them as well. So the client knows when they get a lead, they're gonna know it. Right? They're not going to need to call these leads, because I will be following up with calls, emails, and text to schedule. Right? I'm setting expectations. I'm saying, this is your responsibility. This is mine. This is what our relationship looks like.
Right.
Number 3, after 3 weeks, they will get access to a reporting dashboard to see data and results as well. Right? The reason I have that 3 weeks in there is because, as we all know, the first 3 weeks of any campaign, there's so many changes and everything else going on. I want to make sure it's clean, tidy, and ready to go before I let the client take a look at it. All right. They know that they're getting it, though. They know
that and sometimes once you do launch, you have to, particularly like with ads, I'm thinking of, you have to tweak and adjust things on the fly just a little bit. I mean, to fine tune what's already there.
Yep, absolutely. And I don't want a client taking, because most of the time you give that to the client in the first week or so, they're going to be studying it like it's the Bible. They're going to be checking it 50 times every single day, and they're going to know that thing inside and out. And then they're going to stop, because they're going to start relaxing, and they're going to go back in a few weeks and be like, what? This is so different than when I looked at it last week. And they're going to have a little stress out. You keep it under wraps for that first 3 weeks, you're going to avoid a lot of that. Okay. We have a question. What if you don't actually know how long these things are going to take? And then Zach says, what services are you offering? Yes. So just set a reasonable expectation. Okay. A reasonable expectation is, we have an onboarding meeting 3 days after the close. All right. And from there, in the next 5 days, calendar days, not business days, I'm going to have copy. I'm going to have this. I'm going to have this. And I will be hopefully ready to have our launch meeting. Right. That is a reasonable expectation, no matter what it is you're selling. How long it's going to take for them to start seeing results, that's a very different story It depends on your processes. It depends on the platforms you're using. It depends on the experience, and it depends on the team you have working on it. Okay.
And it depends on what you offer, the services that you decide to offer. Yeah. So we'll touch on that in just a moment. Yeah. In a way that may help answer that question some more.
Absolutely. However, if you check inside the free training I just shared, there are SOPs in there that have reasonable average timeframes inside them. So you can just plug and play. Okay. All right. And then after the first 4 weeks, we will schedule a call to go over results and make adjustments as needed. This way, the client knows that, you know what, you and them are a partnership. You're not just taking their money, running their campaign, and then flying off into the wind, never to be heard from again. You're here, you're working with them, you're making their business your priority, all of those good things. And then after 8 weeks, reporting goes to monthly emails sent out on the 5th of each month. Now, the reason I do this is not every business owner wants to turn up and talk to me every single month about what's going on with their client campaign. Most of them do. Okay. Most of them do. But they want to know that they can get out of it if they can. All right. Inside those monthly emails, however, I always include my calendar link. And I say, if you have any questions, if you have any changes, Valentine's Day is coming up. You want us to run something special for Valentine's Day next month? Here's my calendar link. Please book a call. I'd love to talk with you. Okay. And the other part of that is when I send out that monthly email, it's not just a bunch of statistics. There's a Loom video of me saying, hey, Mr. Client, we had a great month. This is what happened. This is the bump that we ran into as we talked to you about in that email. This is how we fixed it. These are results we've seen since we fixed it. This is what I suggest we do next month. If you're unhappy with that, give me a call. Here's my phone number. All right. Stick my face in it, even though it's just an email.
Yeah. But everybody will watch a video. They'll watch the video before they read the email in some cases.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, I mean, huge deal.
Yep. All right. So we've done a lot of conversation about you've done the sales call and this is how you do your onboarding, but we haven't actually talked much about the onboarding meeting. So I'm going to give a very, very quick conversation about that. And then John's going to take over. Okay. During the onboarding, basically it's very easy. You're going to gain access to software such as your CRM, Facebook accounts, or whatever. We're going to complete the A2P certification. All right. There's not just A2P. There's other things we need to complete, but that's one of the big ones at the moment. And then they're going to provide us with things we need, like the high resolution logo. And then during that call, we're also going to book the bi-weekly client relations appointments, or we're going to, set expectations between each other. That's all an onboarding meeting is. All right. You give them stuff. You guys collaborate on one or two things. They give you stuff, and then you set expectations. Very simple. All right, onboarding checklist. This checklist is downloadable inside your training. Number 1, send them the welcome packet during the call. Number 2, determine the offer with the partner or the client and make sure that they have agreed and understood to it, okay? Number 3, explain how the client will receive the lead, an email notification, on a Google Sheet, a text, and then train that client on expectations regarding handling the leads, okay? So if you don't have an appointment center inside your agency and it's your client's job to deal with those leads, you need to train them. These guys are business owners. They're not marketers. They don't already know this stuff, okay? Right. So I also have in here a checklist on how to train them in case that worries you, right? You're going to talk to them about success, the speed to contact. There's tenacity, and then there's a script around it. So you're going to want to do all of this inside this training. It can take 10 minutes, or you can pre-record it in a Loom and send it to them, okay? Yeah. The most important is the first 5 minutes, all right? 60 to 70% of your contacts will respond if you respond in that time. You're going to call once within the 15 minutes maximum. So if they don't answer on the first call, you can call again immediately, and we call it a double tap. After the double tap, you're going to send them a text message, but do not leave a voicemail, right? That's just what I tell my people to do to make the best out of their leads, because the last thing I want is to reach the end of the month and then say, you gave me a bunch of leads and I didn't get any appointments, and it's just a waste of time. So I'm going to teach them how to do it, okay? There's tenacity, all right? You have to follow up. I suggest 10 phone calls a minimum, okay? I do give them time frames. I say 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Don't want them calling at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because who's going to answer that call to book a facial? Nobody. They're going to be at work, right? Talking about conversations and how conversations equal closing, all right? If they don't have conversations with their leads, their lead was sitting on a couch and said, oh, this is really cool, and clicked on it and put their information in, blah, blah, blah. If they don't have a conversation, they're not going to become a client and a customer. We talk about using the phone, text, email, and voicemail. right? Talk about doing this for 14 days. The first 14 days you get a lead is very, very important. And then I have to remind them to answer all inbound calls.
Right.
This might
sounds basic, but
you will be surprised at how many times I'm like, so why didn't this work? Let's go over your strategy. And I'm like, I did all this. I did this. I'm like, nobody called you back. Like, well, I don't answer calls from numbers I don't know.
Yeah, which is a real problem. Even with all the spam calls we get, yes, we all get them. We're supposed to get fewer now, but that somehow hasn't happened. So answer every call you get, because as a business, I mean, it's different than your home or your personal number.
Yep.
Unless they're the same, but it's almost a requirement no matter what, no matter how many times you get pitched by somebody when you pick up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
That your Google business listing is unverified. I mean, these people have called like days on end.
Mm-hmm.
Calling a marketing agency knowing this, but they don't know. Their system doesn't know. So answer every call there is. I mean, it's just part of business.
The other thing I tell them is, they have access to the CRM, right? If they get a call that they don't expect from another phone number, and they were out running errands or whatever, and they want to decide whether or not to call them back, so they don't want to get on some spammer's list, they can go into their Go High Levels. There's an app on their phone, and they can see, oh, did I miss a call? It's going to show up right there. Okay. So I talked to them about that. Then we have to have a conversation with them about the fact that when they do call these people, they're going to get some mad people on the phone sometimes. All right. We know that as marketers. It happens to us all the time. These business owners aren't used to dealing with leads. All right. And so they're going to get surprised, and it's going to cause a shock and a reaction. And they may turn that on the fact that your agency is doing something wrong. So if during this onboarding call, you do the training, you say, look, these people are going to say they forgot and they're not interested. And some people will be angry. Some people are going to hang up, and that's okay. We're trying to get the 10 people to say yes and the 90 that say no. All right. You need to set that expectation. You need to give them that encouragement. You need to let them know that you're on their side. They're not alone. This is happening to every single person.
Right.
You don't set that expectation, however, you're going to be in trouble. Yeah.
And there's something overall for this. I mean, if you're not only are you taking the time to, for your own protection as much as theirs, these are the things that are going to happen. But it's something for one, you get to show some of your expertise and your comfort level. And as you get more comfortable with it, there's nothing that helps that comfort level like training somebody else. So that's in effect what you're doing here is sort of training them as best you can, because everybody's their own person, but training them the way you want them, training them the way what to expect, setting those expectations. It helps you as much as anybody else. And so one, you're there teaching. Two, they feel like they're learning something, and maybe this person really is smart, and they're more comfortable with the process in general.
Yeah. And so I'm just going to take a pause for a second here. How many of you think about onboarding, thought about this call, and thought, okay, this person's going to tell me exactly the information I need to collect to run Facebook ads or to run SEO? Okay. We are providing that. It's downloadable inside your training. We'll touch on a little bit more of it later. What I really want you guys to realize, what I really want you to change your mindset to, you are as an agency head in a relationships business, okay? Onboarding is about forming that relationship with your client, because we want our clients to stick around, because sticky clients scale agencies. And the sales call is a very important part of that process, sure, but the onboarding call is really where that gets established. Yeah. So it's much less about, right, give me your stuff so I can start your campaign. And it's much more about, okay, this is how your campaign is going to go. I'm going to be here holding your hand. This is what you can expect. This is how you can reach me. These are the boundaries between our communications, though. And this is how to manage your leads so that your responsibilities are upheld and mine are upheld. Okay?
Right.
Yeah.
And the beginning of that relationship, the beginning of, when we're little children and we're just forming everything, the very beginning of a business relationship when you meet somebody, the very beginning of a dating relationship when you meet somebody, there's a pattern here, guys. The beginning of the relationship is the most important. And this is what you're setting. When they say that, yes, you are cementing that, and it will affect every piece of interaction you have with that person afterwards.
Yep, totally, 100%. So if you guys have ever seen my sales training, you're gonna hear me say, sales is just like dating, and this is how.
Yeah.
Client relations is just the next part of that dating relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And setting the expectation in the beginning, doing it right, taking the extra time and effort to do it right will really pay off, even when things don't go as planned.
Yep. So it makes me really sad because I see posts everywhere and I hear from agency owners all the time. Yeah, I have a client and they stick around for 2 months and then they're just gone, and I'm constantly trying to get clients and I'm never getting any traction. A lot of that is because these expectations weren't set at the beginning. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Another part about expectations is letting them know that they're going to have invalid leads. We all have them. I get them.
Mm-hmm.
I have people put information in that I have to pay for because I have to pay Facebook every time someone puts something in. So that's the email address is okay@okay.com. And their phone number is a bunch of R's, numbers, and their name's a bunch of R's. Okay, these things happen. You need to let your client know that that's going to happen to them too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, talk about getting them to show, which we kind of just touched on how to do that. Talk to them about no more than 3 days out, okay? So you need to let them know that their calendar is set no more than 3 days out, because if the calendar is set for more than 3 days, they're going to get a lot more no-shows. But they might forget that if you don't remind them and talk to them about it right now, and they might be on the call and be like, oh, I sent you a calendar link, even though that person's already says they're not available to next week, right? So you need to let them know how to manage that.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about keeping the momentum going, okay? Business owners is almost the same as us, all right? How many times have you got up in the morning, know you need to do prospecting, know you need to follow up with your leads, and you can't get yourself to do it?
Mm-hmm.
These business owners are struggling with it so much more than you because this is brand new to them, okay? So you need to give them that encouragement. You need to let them know, you know what, it's okay. Take 10 minutes because it's going to pay off, all right? You're going to send information and packets in between to warm up the lead, all right? I talk to business owners all the time who have free things, all right? It could just be training for a hairdresser. She works with curly hair people, all right? She has this great tip on using the emergency packets that you buy from the supermarket to revitalize curls.
Huh.
She can send that information to a lead that she hasn't been able to get on the phone. Sending that information is going to get that person on the call, because giving away stuff related to what this person wants to hear is going to get them to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's something else.
Will break through. Yeah, for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Offer additional bonus. We just talked a little bit about that. Reminder text, reminder calls, and then a Google Calendar invite. So you're going to let them know about the automations you have set up, how that works, so that they have the information when they're talking to their prospects. I'm almost done here, and then John's going to take over for a minute. We're going to talk about the nurture sequence, okay? We're going to talk about the fact that occasionally they have leads, not occasionally, a lot of time, they have leads that we didn't get through to in those first 14 days, no matter how great we both were, okay? They're going to get added to a weekly email sequence, all right? They're still going to be nurtured. They're still going to be sticking around. And occasionally they're going to get a call from someone and say, I received your great emails, Mr. Dentist, because you were sending me great emails about sugar-free recipes I could use. I just really loved it. And now I want to book an appointment, all right? Need to let them know. All right, retargeting daily for the long-term pipeline. Yep. Retargeting kicks in week 3. Right, so you need to let them know that you get the lead, they go to this automation sequence, all right, give them a break, and then they're going to be added to the nurture thing, just so they know, okay? So expectations on joint responsibilities. I had a conversation with a man who runs a roofing and solar business the other day, and I chose not to close him because he's like, yeah, great. I want 50 qualified leads in 60 days. And I said, well, sorry, hey, Mr. Business Owner, what's a qualified lead to you? Well, they have to be ready to buy from me in the next 30 to 40 days. They need to have, both business owners present when I turn up to the call. They need to be using this utility provider. You need to use this, and this. I chose not to work with him because somebody who has the expectation before we even started working together isn't going to be a happy camper in 1 month, 2 months time when they realize that my job is to get them leads and it's his job to close them.
And there's
All right.
completely unrealistic expectations there. And so that's we've talked about that before as well. And not only coaching marketers about things like that, and the ability to say no if there's not a good fit, if it doesn't fit what you have in mind. But now you have to kind of do that for your client that's said yes, and you have to coach them on what is it that specifically you're offering, what are the boundaries, what are the things that if people come in outside of that they don't want to, they think you can provide, and you really can't. In your heart of hearts you can't, and it's going to fail, then you, Mr. Client or Mrs. Client, have the ability to say no too.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
and that's important, and it's not talked about in business enough.
Yep.
Especially
Absolutely.
in the sales world.
Yep. So that conversation John and I had a few minutes ago about setting expectations, this is a big part of setting those expectations. All right. And so you're going to talk to them about the number of leads they can expect, the schedule rate, the show up rate, the close rate. You're gonna set all these expectations. All right. And you're going to be honest. Be very, very honest. You're going to let them know, might get you 100 leads. Great. 40 of them might book an appointment. 10 of them might no show. 4 of them might cancel. The ones that do turn up, you might turn 4 of them into long-term clients. All right. You need to set realistic expectations. All right. And then you need to ask them if they have any questions. Okay. Because they're going to have a lot. And that's basically how you onboard. And that's not even talking about the fact that you need to give me this and I need to give you this. All right. Let's double check our comments here. We have Paul F. Hessentafel. I work for Go Higher Level directly, and these groups all over social media are great to see and really show the growth of our platform, and then gave his email address.
Awesome.
Thank you, Paul.
There you go.
Thank you, Paul. All right, I'm going to hand you over to John, who's going to talk to you about the best time frame to onboard.
So basically, I want to address, I don't know if this question came up in the questions or not, but I'm sure as going through all that, people are going, what is how do I learn what these time frames are? How do I learn what these expectations are that I can give to my clients? Where do I get all that? So some of that, actually, to answer that question, we're going to take a minute, because there's a little bit of, when you're talking about time frame, before you really get into time frame, for some of you that are seeing this and kind of know what it is, it's a kind of a poor version of it, of something called a value ladder. So when you talk of the value ladder, is whenever you're working your way up from a base service that you offer, all the way progressing up. People that are really into sales of multifaceted items know this and know what it can do. And I mean, this is not the same as what theirs look like, but the idea is kind of this is, all right, so I'm going to do a little bit of research beforehand before I am ready to onboard a client. And the things I'm going to ask, because it all cascades down, is what services am I going to offer before I start out there? Maybe you're the freelancer who's looking to step out a little bit and offer more than just one thing, more than just SEO, more than just funnel or website building, more than just ads placement. Those are a part of it. And so, but maybe you're looking to offer more, but you need to spend a little time up front fleshing out these services and the progression that's involved. So the first one I talk about down there at the bottom is called a gateway service. That is the simple onboarding thing. That's your message marketing. For some, that's minor lead generation, that they already have a funnel put together. That's reputation management for some people. That's, the message marketing is a big one. It's one of my favorites. So, I mean, what is that basic thing to get you that foot in the door? Okay. So once you figure out decide for yourself what that is, because really what you're offering, I mean, to do one thing, if you want to just be a specialist, is fine. If you want to take it to another level, to an agency type of level, even a very small agency. Hey, mine's a very small agency. It's not as big as Sheena-Leigh's and Atlas Agency or Atlas Online Solutions, but it's getting there. Got high hopes, but every agency size is different, but people are very specific that they offer more than just one thing. or 2 things. So the next level up then, if you're talking about that, is what is the thing that you're good at? What is the thing that you brought to this and said, I want to take this to another level? So that's your second tier above the gateway there, your core service. So this is what I'm really good at. This is what I started offering. This is what I know in my heart of hearts and I've studied and I can do for people. So then all of a sudden you got 2. And that's a really easy way to do this. So then the next level are the things that you want to provide for clients, but you don't have the expertise or the bandwidth to do that. That's outsourcing. That's pulling in somebody else from maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a connection you've made. It's a partnership that we've talked about, a relationship. You can pull them in to fill a void or a need that you don't have. And so then you take all this to clients that you're selling. And the final thing is the advanced stuff. That is the membership area, say, in Go High Level. That is some things that are really high end that take some learning from you and may take a degree of outsourcing. That's really, you're really getting into big agency stuff that take a whole lot more. They're a huge process to put together. And so you might be saying now, John, why are you talking about this? Well, once you determine the services you offer, that determines what you have. It determines the entire onboarding strategy. So not only is it better that you're going out and talking to these clients and you're hitting them with the same, even if it's a group of services and you add one or don't add another one for a client based on their particular need. After talking to them, maybe you realize they don't need a website, but they really do need some message marketing out here. And then on top of that, we're going to need some ads at some point. So then you alter that strategy a little bit, but you've already set in your mind, this is what the onboarding process for each one of these services is going to look like. This is what the time frame for each one of these services is going to look like. If you don't know from experience, reach out to others and say, just post in groups that you're a part of, post in this group that you're a part of, and says, what has been your experience for, time frame to onboard somebody for message marketing? Yeah. What is your, realistic time frame to onboard for SEO? So
inside the Atlas Agency Launch Lab, we have inside our Facebook group, we have a Google Sheet, all right? People are putting their names down and they're saying what services they're experts, intermediate, or amateurs at, and then they're putting their contact information. So that's another resource that you can use. Yeah. One, you can put yourself on there, see if somebody wants to outsource work to you. But 2, you can find that network so that you can get these answers.
Right, and you can ask them these questions. How long does this typically take you? If I'm gonna bring you into a situation with a client, how long will this take you over and over and over again to do this little piece? And suddenly, then now you have the SOPs that Sheena-Leigh and Atlas Agency Launch Lab are providing in the free trainings. So, I mean, you have that as well as a guide. Pull guides from wherever you can. And don't do what I did in the past of getting lost in the weeds of this. Don't spend all your time laying this out, but spend some time laying this out. Don't have this be, get hung up for a month on everything that's involved here. Take a few days, take a week to sort it out, and then document it with checklists, document it with timeframes, document it with whatever tool you need to make that happen. So then you understand that time frame. So then when it comes time to sell the client and onboard them, you know exactly how long it's going to take. And then you can do all the things that were in the checklist from the previous slides. Yeah. You can then bring that along. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. You're fine. And a lot of this onboarding stuff is only going to become solidified once you've got clients. Like some of what we're teaching you here about building a list and everything else, we can fall into the trap of, I've got to get everything ready and I need to do this. You don't. You really, really don't. Your only job right now is to go out there and get a client. Yeah. Get a client. Once you've got that client, spend the next 24 hours doing it, Yeah. But don't postpone getting clients because you want to do this first. This is a secondary thing.
But set yourself a set amount of time. 24 hours is a good time. You'll find out all the information you need within that time frame. And that's well within a time from closing a client, them saying yes, all the way to that first onboarding call. And then with time in between that you can slip in a welcome email.
Yep.
You can slip in some other things that are important. The last piece here I see we're on is, I wanted to talk about, what are the things that you need, and it's been it's a very, very detailed list that's already gone through. But the very basics of it, you need the list of what you need and the list of what what you need from your client, and the time frames to get that done. Yep. And this all comes together at the end to say, these are the pieces that I need. It just, and once you, the good news is once you establish this once of what these processes are and this is like business process mapping. This is going, and so a true business process map it's something you probably should do at some point after you have quite a few clients, and then you go back and look and you it's analyzing, okay, what are the steps that happen from start to finish? And the end of it looks like a flow chart. Okay, but it starts with just an outline list. So just the checklist that we're starting, it starts with a whole bunch of checklists, and you say, first this happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens, and you're checking off the boxes. So that's the list that we're talking about doing there, and a very short version of what business process mapping is. But you're doing that for the first time whenever you lay out these services, and then you don't have to do it again. Because now you understand how long it's going to take. Maybe you tweak it just a little bit of, you have 2 or 3 clients of, okay, this part took a little bit longer than I originally said it would or planned for. And that's fine. That's going to happen. But it's a whole lot easier to edit something that's already created than it is to try to create it from the beginning. 100%. You can really get lost in that. But if it's already created, if it's already started, it's a whole lot easier to go back and make changes that apply to you based on your experience or based on, what has happened in the meantime.
Yeah, so, I totally agree. And that's why we provided you guys with everything that we already have, because then you can literally, it's PDF, which means you can copy it and paste it and then make it yours. Very simple.
And you'll find that so much easier. And then just you plug in the numbers and the things that apply to you. And it just you'll find it works so much smoother, and you can meet that 24-hour time frame we're talking about the first time, and then be done. And then maybe it takes you 15 minutes. When you see something that's a change, you go back and change your process. But have your process down in a way that is quick and easy for you to deal with, and for you to find. And then soon you'll commit it to memory, particularly if you do the similar services. You have your group of them still, and you should, but you'll begin to see things form in patterns. And then all of this becomes much easier when you start to see the patterns and you start to understand that there's these onboarding calls and this onboarding process, pretty much goes the same way for every client.
It sure does.
So even if you offered slightly different services for each client, they still pretty much go the same way. So then it becomes easier for you to relate. And then you can focus on some of the things we talked about earlier, which is really coaching your client and really cementing that relationship, because you have the nuts and bolts figured out. So now you get to coach, and that's a lot more fun.
And I really want to encourage you guys, if after all of this, if you feel like we're giving you too much information and you feel like this is, oh my goodness, there's way more than I thought I was going to have to do, and I don't know how to do this, take a second and realize that you have 7,000 people inside of this group, hundreds of people inside the Atlas Agency Launch Group, and thousands more in a whole bunch of other groups. If you want to stick out a post and say, guys, I have a client, I need them onboarded for this tomorrow, who's available? Somebody is going to put up their hand and say, you know what, mate, I'll join you in that call. I'll give you a hand. All right.
Good point. Or identify it a little bit ahead of time, before it's the 11th hour, and say, these are the services I want to offer. And this is or I need somebody to help me on board. I need somebody to help me do a sales call. I need somebody to help me do whatever, and lay that ahead of time before it becomes an emergency. And that way you get to vet them a little bit. But yeah, that help is available.
Yep.
And it's surprisingly easy to come by. And true to form, not every partnership works. Okay. But you are more likely to find in these communities help that you can deal with and that does work well, and that versus people that ghost you or do, stupid things. You'll find that a whole lot more, particularly if you even apply some of the same onboarding strategies we're talking about. We're talking about onboarding clients, but you could onboard a partner too with some of the same things. You set the expectations of the relationship. You get a good start at the beginning. You get and what everybody's expectation, what everybody is supposed to provide that relationship, and then what we can both expect from it. Absolutely. And you'll be, I mean, you talked about it earlier in the presentation about what that does to a relationship. So it's very, very, very important.
Yep. Absolutely. I totally agree. Talking about networking, talking about using support, and talking about, finding that help when you need it. We're going to now talk about the Atlas Agency Launch Lab a little bit more, and where this training falls into that process. So in the Atlas Agency Launch Lab, we do way more things than we have time to talk about right now. But basically, we take you through 12 modules, okay? And in the first module, we really solidify who you are and what makes you distinct from the hundreds of thousands of other marketing agencies out there. We solidify what your services are. We solidify who your prospect is. We build out the avatar. In a module 2, we do a lot of button pushing. It's my least favorite module, but it's probably one of the most important. We build out your website. We build out your social media pages. We build out your payment systems, your calendar links, all of those things that actually need to be in place to be able to run an agency. But guess what? We do it all in 1 week. All right. There's no stuck, can't move forward because I haven't done this thing. It's done in 1 week. And I say, we build your website. Obviously, we don't build your website in 1 week, but we onboard you for it. We have all your branding. We have all your copy. We have everything else. And it's literally just putting it together and getting it live. And in that meantime, you have everything else that you need. Okay. Module 3 is when we start client acquisition. So, by the 3rd week, you have everything you need, and we're starting to get you clients. We've hired you a VA. We've trained your VA. They've worked inside of my agency, so I know I can trust them inside of yours. We are building out lists of people for you to contact. We are starting to contact those people. And in module 4, this is when we talk about, this is how to respond to somebody when they respond. Because by week 4, you're having people respond to your outreach, all right? And you've got to know what to do. So I will show you how to close them. I will close them for you, okay? I'll show you how to onboard them. I will onboard them for you.
There's your onboarding, yeah.
Yep.
Until you feel comfortable doing it. And some of these principles all along the way also apply back to onboarding of your clients whenever you're ready.
Absolutely, and we're going to we'll talk about fulfillment. A big part of onboarding is actually starting to push those buttons and doing that technical part of everything else. My team will do it for you. If you don't feel confident that what you do is going to keep your clients, that's fine. I have someone else who will do it for you, okay? Inside the Atlas Agency Launch Lab, you don't even have to pay us, because this is just a big part of what it is that we're doing here for you. And then we'll do client relations. We talked a lot about building that relationship with your onboarding process, and client relations is just an extension of that. It really is. So that's basically what we do. And that's all in just the first 1 month that you're with us, So that's where we're at. The onboarding tools in the program. I think we've basically covered that. There's me. There's me. I will onboard your clients for you. There is all of our SOPs. I've provided a bunch of them for you inside of your free training, but there's way more. We're way more in depth in the Atlas Agency Launch Lab, and you have it all. You have every single part of it. And if one of my tech teams are doing your fulfillment for you, then guess what? They're going to be there at their onboarding call as well. And they've been working, doing this tech, doing this. Like, they specialize on one specific thing, each of them. So they might be running Facebook ads, and have run Facebook ads for 4 or 5 years, right? Managed hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of revenue. They know exactly what they're doing, and they're going to make sure that we don't forget anything in the onboarding call. Okay.
And that just makes your agency look that much bigger. Maybe you're an agency of 1 or 2 people. Maybe you're a freelancer just stepping this up. All of a sudden, you have a team of experts that are right there that, like she's saying, they've been doing Facebook ads for 4 and 5 years and all the craziness that comes with it. I mean, it just makes you, and that's another reason to put them in front of the client and make them a part of that process, because that's exactly it helps the client's comfort level. You know what you're getting, and then they start to see the results of it. And
the other part of that, guys, is when Zach and I were first starting Atlas Online Solutions, it was just us. All right, close a client, turn up the onboarding call once again. Hey, it's just me getting your stuff to run your campaign. If you have somebody else, doesn't matter whether or not they're officially in your team or they're in my team and they're working with you as a contractor on this one specific project or whatever it is, you have somebody else turn up to that team, this business owner's going to be like, wow, you know what? I can relax. I have a team looking after me. Unfortunately, and I wish it wasn't this way for most of us, unfortunately, somebody sees a freelancer, a one-man show, and they lose that trust, and it's so much harder to keep them as a client, right?
Sometimes,
so even if you don't run through our agency lab, okay? Even if we don't help you do any of this, 7,000 people in this group, guys. No, say, I'm going to do an onboarding call. We just turn up. You don't even say anything. Just turn up, sit in the corner. I'll do the same for you. Going to build that trust. So that's another reason why onboarding calls is so important, because they get to meet the team.
It's very, very true. And so Crystal Faye was on a couple of weeks ago on the lives in this space. And she was talking about how you're, at least in the sales part, you're trying to change the perception of, she calls it the 1980s used car salesman. You're not Fast Eddie, all right? You're not trying to do that. And so we're changing mindsets in the very same way that sales process, her sales process is changing those mindsets. We are then now at, we're by setting these expectations, by working with a client, by doing what we're going to say. You're going to hear, if you haven't heard already, the marketing person horror stories from your prospects. Everybody has one, and it's sad and unfortunate that we have to sit through that, but you know what, we do. But it also can give us an opportunity to say, not only to say, but then to show, this is how we're different. This is how, and it won't change their perception overnight, but it will go a long way. And the more of us do it, and the more of us really set these processes, and they have these expectations, we set these expectations up front, and we give them, most importantly, we give them a good experience after the sale of getting them onboarded right, providing the service we say they're going to. It does two things. One, it helps it changed that expectation over time. And two, it gives you a little bit of grace if you're not getting the exact results that you said you were going to, for whatever.
Absolutely.
If you things just aren't, for whatever reason, just aren't quite going like you thought they were going to. Then you have that little bit of grace room because you have set this foundation correctly to come back and say, okay, yes, I've messed this up, but here's what I'm doing about it. It's kind of like we were talking about reviews. Everybody gets a bad review sometimes, but what are you going to do about it? What are you doing about it? What are you showing that you're doing about it? So when things don't quite go the way they should, it's what are you doing about it to change it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, that brings up a very, very good point. As a marketing agency, things are going to go wrong. All right. Correct. And there's always this temptation to hide your head in the sand and hope that they haven't realized and that you're going to fix it before they realize. And you're going to want to do that. Don't ever do that. Okay. If you have onboarded them and built that relationship the way we just taught you how to do it, when this happens and you go to them, I always use a loom. Okay. Putting your face out there for when something goes wrong is very important. But I always use a loom and I say, look, Mr. Business Owner, this has happened. You know what? Facebook suspended your account. All right. I'm picking on Facebook tonight. I'm so sorry, Facebook. I love you.
Not for you and be here. Yeah.
Exactly. Facebook suspended your account. Ads have stopped. Nobody's seeing anything we're doing. This is what we're going to do to try and fix it. This is when we expect to see the response. If that doesn't happen, then this is our next plan. All right. 100% fully transparent. And because I sat there in that onboarding call, all right, And I already showed them that this is my responsibility. This is their responsibility. This is what we can expect. They're just going to feel that's just a continuation of that instead of just a random, I never hear from these guys and something went wrong, or I never hear from these guys and they're telling me something went wrong.
Yeah.
Who are they? Are these guys monkeys? They're going to realize, you know what? These guys know what they're doing. They actually care. This has happened.
Mm-hmm.
I can trust them. They're my partner. We're going to figure this out. All right?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the saying what you're going to do because you put that foundation. It's then not only are you saying you're going to do it, you're starting to do it. And so
absolutely.
There's no reason to hide your head. I mean, yeah, it's intense. I mean, I still have those moments sometimes where things are not going well, and it's like, oh, I got to face the client. Oh. But I tried. All I can do at that point is try my best to have solutions in progress. This is what we're doing. We're having some trouble, but this is what we're doing.
Yeah,
got one of those going right now. Yeah, and it can be challenging, but as long as they see you're working through it, it will continue to. They'll give you the grace to do that. They'll give you the grace to. Okay, they're going to figure it out. I'll give them a little bit of time, and let's see what we can do here.
I'm not gonna lie, you're still gonna have those conversations with people who are not kind to you about it. Okay, no matter how much preparation you've done, no matter how you approach the situation, some people aren't going to be nice to you about it. But you're going to find that situation much less and much less damning if you've done it right from the very, very beginning.
Yeah, or there's in the middle where they're clearly not happy about it, but they're still giving you the opportunity. They're not overjoyed at all. I don't want to sugarcoat that, but they're at least giving you. They're willing to give you that opportunity, however quietly, begrudgingly, to solve the problem that you created, and then to make it all better.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
all right.
Every spectrum in between.
Yep. So is there anybody here that has a question? I feel like we covered a lot of material here today, and it's an awful lot to take in.
Kind of fire hosed them, yeah.
We did. Exactly what we said we weren't going to do. We went ahead and did it.
Yeah. Hey, we set the expectation, and by gosh, we followed through.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so this is recorded, guys. Okay, so if you need to watch this a couple of times, go ahead. We talked about collaboration, and we've given you guys everything you need to know how to get a client. We've done a lot of doing that. I had a big conversation on what to do once you get a client. We haven't done much of a conversation about sales. Okay, so I just want to take this one opportunity to stick a little plug in here. I close on behalf of other agencies, and so does John. In fact, just before we jumped on here, I was asking him how he felt about closing for me inside of my agency. He is amazing. All right. We have worked together and been around in the same groups and everything else. I close on behalf of some pretty big names myself. So if you guys do your prospecting, want somebody to help close them so that you can put this onboarding training into real life, hit us up. All right. Yeah. We will help you close. All right. We'll help you get that client. Even if you're not part of the Atlas Agency Launch Lab family, we'll give you a hand.
Or we'll come alongside you for different, other projects as well.
Yeah.
But it's more of a consultative thing. And then at some point, you really, may be in your best interest to say, and we'll try to have that conversation with you to say, okay, you really are ready to take this to another level. You consider this Atlas Agency Launch Lab for doing that.
Yeah.
There's multiple ways to make that happen, but certainly in the meantime, marketers will help each other out as best we can. Yeah,
absolutely. And if you want to do that sales part, I do have sales training available. It's inside your library. It's going there. It's not that expensive. All right. There's sales courses out there that run thousands and thousands of dollars. We're agency owners, guys. We aren't. Some of us might be millionaires. Okay. I don't want you guys getting clients to be that hard. All right. Yeah. So, but it's in there. It's very, very good. So if you're interested, go and check it out. We don't have any questions here, John. So I think.
Oh, we answered them all. Awesome.
Yeah. How his approach worked.
Right.
All right, giveaway. We have covered this already, but if you haven't already, please, there is free training available to you guys. Free training on how to get clients. All right. There's free training on the fundamentals of of your services.
The services that you offer, your foundational services.
Absolutely. And now there is training on what to do to onboard. There's SOPs in there. There's a copy of the proposals that I use myself. There's a copy of the actual welcome email that I used inside my agency back in January. My team's changed a little bit since then, but this is, my clients got this email, okay? It's in there. Copy it, paste it, fix it, do whatever you need to do it. Give me feedback, guys. If you read that and be like, oh my goodness, what is this woman doing? I want to know. Okay, I might come on here telling you guys what to do, but I can still learn.
Easier to edit than it is to start from scratch, right?
Absolutely.
But you're also selling yourself short, because on the last live you were going through, some very winning emails, cold email and email outreach scripts, and why they were important. So don't forget about those too, guys. Lots and lots and lots of value. And this is just in the free stuff. Imagine what the paid stuff looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So as John just said, and I forgot to mention it, inside your free training, there is cold email training where I literally give you a script, an 8-point script, and I tell you how to make it better. So it's all in there. And if you want more, join us inside the Atlas Agency Launch Lab group. This is August, so we're going to start going live in there regularly instead of just in here. So there'll be way more good stuff around to share around. Invite your friends. All right. Sure. And I'll see you inside.